Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't. Driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
And you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
At the University of South Alabama, we inspire. We illuminate. We generate ideas that propel our region forward. We transform our students into leaders who have the confidence, knowledge, and ability to change their communities for the better. Together, we make a lasting impact on the world around us. We are your University of South Alabama.
Here, we do what others.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back for some more CSGO action here at the EGFC. We've got DePaul University going up against USA, and no, not the United States of America, the University of South Alabama. We're going to be jumping into this one in just a minute, but Viking, we got a chance to talk during that break, and it sounded like you kind of had an expectation going into this game too.
I think relative to some of the other matches that we've seen, especially where we see Colorado and Marquette on the schedule in the previous block, this should be a closer match. Certainly going into just thinking about the performance generally of the team, they're a little bit closer in terms of their win percentages. South Alabama came out a little bit as the underdog in the last series, not being able to win any maps, but putting up a respectable map count overall with 27 rounds out of their total for about a 43.5% win percentage, which is great. Relative to having taken a loss. So again, thinking in the positive sense, that was pretty good. On the DePaul side, they came out on the other front, winning about 3/4 of the maps that they played in a pretty rough first week matchup that ultimately was pretty close. The South Alabama match was close against Iona. That was our first overtime of the season. So I have no idea what to expect in terms of the outcome here. I think I probably favor DePaul a little bit, just sort of based on their early matchups. But as we saw, Siena coming in as a new team, that being DePaul's first matchup, it's hard to say how that's going to play out in this the second match. But I'm excited to see how that starts out. And it could be a real banger of a series.
Yeah, absolutely. From what I understand, statistically speaking, DePaul's definitely in the driver's seat, right? University of South Alabama, they're punching above their weight, very similar to what we saw earlier today, but they're not punching as heavily above their weight, so to speak. They might be able to turn this one around. They might be able to bring some action early. And of course, that all is dictated by that first knife fight, right? Just by that primary engagement on which one of these teams will take the lion's share of the momentum moving into the first map, and we'll see who really runs away with it.
Yes, we'll see if Got Jaeger on the DePaul side ends up becoming kind of that deciding IGL, hitting some of these strategies. We're going to see some of, we'll say, the more traditional map picks in terms of what we have saw in the first one. So we'll go to Overpass first, which is something that we have seen USA play. That was their map pick last week, not last year. So it seems like they're really feeling confident in how they performed on that. So if they're going to make that run against DePaul, that's probably where we'll see the best efforts, especially because Overpatch, it's a still pretty common map, but relative to, I think, the general skill bracket that we're dealing with, it's a less frequently picked map. As we saw, obviously there's Mirage all over the place, all over our schedule, a little bit of Dust 2, even though that's becoming a little bit less favorable with the changes that were recently made. And then we're going to go into Inferno. So for USA, this is basically a mirror of what they saw in week one. And Inferno was where they went into that overtime situation against Iona. So I think that both teams, we expect to see pretty high level of comfort. We'll see some of those kind of traditional thoughts on, are we going to see more turtling? Are we going to see more aggressive? Are we going to see more speed? Like, I'm really excited to see how these teams two go up against each other, because there were a couple teams that had those pretty great individual standout moments.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked a little bit before we went live. You and I were just discussing that there's no nuke, right, in the current map set between these two, and that is listed as DePaul's worst map. So that definitely seems like an intentional evasion, so to speak. Now we're going to be seeing what's brought to the table here in the knife round. 'Cause like I said earlier, this is going to be that lion's share of the momentum.
Yes, and DePaul taking that CT pretty predictably, and we already have US Alabama, the University of South Alabama coming hard into the B site with a quick execute.
Yeah, going to be going in aggressive here, but it's going to be Soju who's the first one to go down. So immediately DePaul has that numbers advantage. They've got the 5v4, but Crispy going to get aggressive here, trying to make some magic happen. It's going to be what it's all about. The bomb has been planted, but Breezy finds a double kill off the back of it. DePaul, they're trying to make it a flawless here in round one. They might be able to do it here. There it is. Not a single one from DePaul going down. University of South Alabama losing all 5.
That was kind of a similar thing to what we saw in the first map or the first series, where you know, you get into that first round, and we talked about this specifically on Mirage in the last game, where you can get these really great executes, and if the CTs are playing retake as opposed to, you know, stand your ground and anchor it, that can become a really frustrating and scary scenario for a T side in the post plant scenario. So we saw that happen there. Tiny T was one of the people that were really a standout performance last week, along with Soju.
Sure.
So I'm pretty excited to see, once they get some actual hardware in their hands, what that's going to look like.
Yeah, they definitely want to, like you said, everybody's going to obviously be a little bit stronger with that proper hardware in their hands, ready to bring the action to the table. But I'm so curious kind of to see how this will end in favor of University of South Carolina. If we get to that point again, we're looking at a flawless round. So DePaul, 2 rounds in a row, they have not dropped a single player up to this point.
Very true. However, I would say that it's certainly great to see that USA got the bomb plant twice in a row. So that means that going into this third round, they can make a pretty confident buy. You see the money, like most of them are over 6K or at least in that neighborhood. That means like we're going to see the Krieg from Crispy. He had mentioned last week that was kind of one of his favorite guns. So in this map, especially where you have the opportunity to save long and you're pretty confident that the CTs probably don't have an op yet at this point, that's certainly a good way to give you an advantage as you're thinking about, as you see here, moving through playgrounds into the later, into the far side of the map to try to get some of those early picks.
Yeah, it's going to be that got Jaeger, the first captain to fall there, the first player on the side of DePaul to go down. It's going to be a pretty quick cleanup crew coming out from DePaul afterwards. So now tied up in a 4v3. A lot of damage taken on the side of DePaul, and that player whose name is just slamming on a keyboard. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but either way, definitely standing strong, sitting at 4-0.
Yes, very much so. And I think this is just kind of like the symptom of what you see in these first couple of rounds and how they play out. There's not a ton of variation is what you're going to see. Like you can expect if you win the first map, unless there's like a weird buy-up situation, or like you see if you get a bomb down that first round, it's a little bit easier to save into the third, get a better buy, and so on. So I think we're kind of seeing the predictable play out of this position. A little bit tough for USA there to be in a position where they've invested a lot on this round.
Yeah, USA, they're fighting strong here. 2 left, Crispy and Xboth both available. Going for a little bit of cheeky action there, sneaking on the flank. This has been a slow burn from DePaul. I mean, we're down to those final 35 seconds, but they can play as slow as they need. They've got the numbers. They'll know they'll push when they have to. 3 seconds left. 1 goes down. No, it will be Squaw who falls next. Xboth finds that kill. Pushing in 23 seconds left to make a world of difference. This is going to be a tough one to turn around.
It is coming into this bomb site where it's just really difficult to find. Maybe a misclick on the smoke. Breezy coming in. It's a tough situation when you have 3 seconds left basically to finish out the round. You're getting forced into those situations, and that's something that USA is going to have to be really careful about as they go forward, because DePaul, they have this ability to play a much more conservative game, and on this map, if you're not willing to put that aggression in to say we're definitively going for an A or a B attack, you can get stuck in these positions where you've got 20 seconds to execute and still 2 or 3 players alive.
Yeah, most definitely here. And we're going to be seeing that 5v5 once again. And as soon as I say it, turns into 5v4 to Crispy. Maybe his headset's not on or something, but just standing there, taking that damage, taking the pulse, and falling for it. Tiny T goes down. Lepicio not far behind. 5-2. It feels so blink and you miss it that DePaul really just turns these rounds in their favor.
I think it's good for them to be able to set that tone early, basically with that aggression from a demigod. If I was their strategy, I would say that that's probably not a generally good idea to be that aggressive, although they were kind of aware of the fact that there weren't at least a full team, maybe 1 or 2. That could be easily punished, and then all of a sudden you're dealing with a 4v5, and then dealing with some of these bomb sites that can be pretty tough. But that was another great example of just some of those situations where you take away those angles or get into those cheeky peeking areas, and all of a sudden the round is over, like you said, in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that really seems to be the speed that we've been moving with so far. We saw it happen in that first series. It looks like we're seeing it happen again in this second one. DePaul, they're looking to take overpass just so aggressively.
And I think one of the things that is tough with that is you saw that third round bye, which is generally a great way to get back into the game early. But obviously, as we're seeing right here, if it doesn't work out, you end up in a situation where you're on round 5 and without guns. So right. USA is going to try to do the best they can with Deagles. We saw them last week make some pretty big, impactful plays. Tiny really favors that Tech 9 sometimes, and that works it in their favor occasionally, especially as we saw on Inferno last week. So we're dealing with a bunch of different scenarios, and if they can overwhelm, like on Mid-C here,
there's an overwhelm indeed, and Demigod is going to fall. The first time in a long time we've seen somebody from DePaul fall, but now it's going to be US Alabama trying to make their appearance. You have the up, but this might just be a timing thing. There it is. And great shot there out of Crispy, waiting for another one to come through. Patience is everything, especially when you're playing with an op like this. Gonna peek that corner for the third time. Might get caught out though in the firefight. Not able to find that quick scope. Now going to be a goal for the approach down mid here, but no, Squad picks up Soju as well. That's the second one down. Do we see a third? Not quite yet. Down to only 28 HP, waiting for that slow approach. We're going to make it a 3K, but the jump around the corner does just enough. Squaw finally goes down. Tied back up 3-3, but there it is. DePaul turning things back in their favor straight away. XBOT finds one, but the damage has been done. DePaul, they're going up 5-0.
It's a great execute from South Alabama there. I think, while they obviously were outgunned in every sense of the word, they were able to make it difficult. What I was a little nervous about is we started to see them picking on Squaw as the op who missed a couple shots there. Obviously, he could have shut that down all on his own there. He didn't, but what we didn't see was the follow-up aggression from USA to really take advantage of the fact that they knew there was only that one person on site and really dealing with those challenges. I never seen the Oh no, everyone's blind. It's so hard
Everybody was blind. Yeah, even we had nothing to say. Even we were blind at that point because there was nobody to spectate who wasn't. So definitely a little bit of a positive turnaround there. DePaul just blink and you miss it. An absolute barnstorm. Now, Tiny T picks up a Demigod, but you've got to do that 4 more times. You've got 100 HP. I mean, it's possible, right? We've seen aces before. That is a tried and true thing of first-person shooters just like this. But to successfully do it in a 5-0 scenario is going to be very difficult.
Especially with a bomb down on the wrong side of that smoke. It's a pretty tall order, but in this case, we're looking at the money situation. It's not great, so they're probably going to have to save no matter what. Even if they won, they're not going to have a great buy unless they get that bomb plan as well. So, what are you going to do? And you're just dealing with these situations where you're getting chunked, and you see more of that pixel peeking that we saw in our first series today as well.
Yeah, and that pixel peeking so dangerous. You poke your head just a little bit too far, and that's just enough for the enemy to take your head clean off your shoulders. So I think we need to see a little bit of a slower pace, so to speak, from Alabama. We saw the reverse issue earlier with Sienna where I kept saying, get aggressive, get aggressive, get aggressive. But I really feel like Alabama, they need to be playing a little bit slower, pull it back a little bit. And that really might help them out if they just let DePaul kind of run into them.
Yeah, I agree entirely with that point. There's a couple moments in some of those executes where we saw the opportunity for Alabama to take advantage of potential scenarios to be aggressive. But in some of their executes, they're just kind of running into these situations where in a more traditional counter strategy, you're seeing them start to execute on these things, throw a smoke, throw a flash, whatever. And then the CTs come back and, like we saw on the other side of the monster smoke, there's a molly, and then that shuts everything down. And then they tried admirably to just push through that, but they end up in a situation where everybody was so blind. So I was amazed that nobody went down to the molly there. And so those types of things are just kind of breaking up or the cadence of the play and of the execute, that it's making it very difficult for Alabama to bring, something into that in terms of success of the rounds. So I agree, if they can slow down a little bit, take a little bit more map control. We haven't seen DePaul being super aggressive to connectors, so they can probably take advantage of that a little bit more. As long as they miss some of those early peaks from DePaul around Fountain, then I think that they have a lot of openings to get some of those early picks.
Yeah, easy agree, for sure. We definitely want to see some more easy picks, some early picks, if you will, coming out on the side of Alabama now. This timeout's going to come to a close here in just a couple of seconds, about 15 seconds, and we're going to kick it off all the same as the timeout never happens. So this is going to come down to those crucial moments. I just hope Alabama can find the opportunity to turn this around one way or another.
I think so. We're only on round 7. It is, a map that favors the CTs to a degree. So the quick rotate times, the fast mechanics, although, it is a little scary to have those rounds kind of ticking away and be in a situation where, for most of them, with the exception of, I think, 3 out of the current 7,
right,
they haven't really had guns. And the best round that they had performance-wise was when they were, down to Deagles and T250s.
Yeah, so I think we're really going to need to see a step up in that performance, absolutely. And we're going to see another AWP coming out from Squaw here. Pressure's going to be on here. They kind of read the call out earlier. Squaw was able to find a couple, but it was a lot of panic presses, so to speak, really trying to find that value. So if Alabama plays around the mindset of, hey, there's an AWP in there somewhere, they might be able to turn it around.
And I'm really nervous because I'm looking at Squaw here with the AWP, and he's making the smart choice to fall back because he's playing aggressive in that bathrooms area, which can be hugely impactful in the early round as you're trying to take off anybody trying to, get a little cheeky around fountain or playground. But he didn't have any backup there. So if he went down, that's an AWP gone.
Yeah, and it looks like a Demigod is going to be the first to fall instead, so some great pressure coming out now. Alabama, for the first time, I think, ever has the numbers advantage, so they're really going to be able to come through, maybe find some great value. Squaw holding that mid lane, trying to find some great value if they're able to, but nothing quite yet. Might have some action here. Timing is everything, though. Puts that scope away the very second Tiny T turns the corner. Here comes some action from Alabama. I think they're going for a bit of a longer flank, just trying to find a way in. However, got Jaeger waiting for him. Going to be taken out by Expos there. Squaw picks up Soju off the back of it. 3-3 tie-up.
And this is one of those situations we were talking about. They're now, facing the clock. They have the bomb back up. They're moving towards the site, but all of the DePaul players are there. There's just nothing they can do about it.
These are the ones that hurt the most, is when there's just nothing you can do about it. And great value now coming out. Breezy just not even going to hesitate, pulls the trigger, even a bit of a free fire there, able to find some great value. Tiny T goes down to Paul, putting themselves up 7-0 here on Overpass.
That was probably the best chance that we've seen, except for maybe that light buy from USA a couple rounds ago, and the fact that they couldn't capitalize on it is a pretty tough place to be. I mean, they're back to that same scenario. So either we're going to see some coordinated aggression, or they're going to try to play for picks. You see them moving a little bit more towards, they're spreading out across the map. So that suggests that they're looking for some of those quick picks and off angles as opposed to a rush into a particular area.
Yeah, absolutely. And rushing can always be just as dangerous as not pushing at all. It's such a coin flip. And as the Demigod falls, Alabama, they're doing a great job finding these early frags, these early opportunities to succeed. It's capitalizing on them that I feel Alabama has really been struggling with. So 7-0 for DePaul. They've got to make sure they're looking at every round as that GG go next. They can't let the mental really get to them. But 75 seconds on the clock. So Alabama, they can move as slow as they need to succeed. Getting too aggressive, that pixel peek again from Lepicio is going to be the very reason Breezy picks up that kill. Turns their back, though. It might be a great opportunity for Alabama to find something. The double poke, and Breezy almost puts them both down. DeCrispy down to 56 HP. Lives to tell the tale. Got Jaeger, finds Soju in the back. And it is all on DeCrispy's shoulders once again.
The timing of this round is just cursing Alabama. They caught got Jaeger out there with a nade and should have had that kill probably, but just couldn't quite connect on it. Run into these situations, and this is something that I've seen quite a few times across all the matches that we broadcasted over the last 2 weeks, where there seems to be a kind of that habit of, hey, we're going to put down a couple rounds from our AK or M4 or whatever. There's a little bit of a disconnect or a break in the fight, and so they decide to take out the nade, but then the slightly more experienced team will know shouldn't do that in that scenario, so they're going to be more aggressive with that. And so that's kind of seeing happen here, and oh my god, Squaw is caught out.
What a shot there from Squaw. Just, I said earlier, sometimes it's not about winning, it's about sending a message, and Squaw, I swear, is looking to send a message. Tiny T picking up a Demigod again, winning that firefight for, I believe, the third time in a row. Things going to be tied up 4-4. The health advantage just barely in favor of DePaul, but close enough to where it hardly matters at the end of the day. It's going to come down to those single bullets. Slow rotations coming out. All of Alabama, they're pretty clumped up for the time being around the center of the map, trying to look for some opportunities here. I almost feel like they're getting scared a little bit, and that's a dangerous place to be. We see the boost now making an appearance. Breezy might get caught out if they're not careful. Nope, never mind. Breezy's the one doing the catching out. He's going to be able to find Lepicio early. Might turn 1 into 2, might turn 2 into 3. So much damage coming out. Breezy puts 3 of them down, looks for the 4th, and finds it. Not even DePaul winning round 9. Breezy winning round 9.
And that's the third round that we've seen Breezy playing from that water position, just around the the base of the catwalk there, and that's such a difficult angle from this the connector side, because if you come into that, maybe you're going to see a head, while on the other side, you're seeing full bodies, you're seeing doors. There's a lot more movement opportunities from the CT side there, so they're going to have to start either seeing more mollies being used there, or just learning that they need to come at that from a different angle. What I do like is that every time Demigod is pushing into these situations, they've punished him hard. So that isn't the case here, as we see a double kill. Of course, that was my fault, caster curse, but I think that it's ultimately a race between the two teams, because they might continue to get that, like they just did. They punished him for being out on his own again. So it's going to be this difference between, is USA going to learn how to capitalize on that numbers game,
right,
or is Demigod going to learn, hey, I should probably do this?
You love to hope that eventually players will learn, hey, I shouldn't do this. But we've seen some folks run the same thing down time and time again. Now it's going to be that action, that aggression coming out here early from DePaul. Once again, they find themselves in a 2-2. This is the closest Alabama's been in a very, very long time. I would love to see them turn this one around, but it's going to be tough beyond their wildest dreams. We're going to have to see what they can bring to the table. They've got a serious health deficit, as well as just being down 9-0 right now.
That Miss Molly is going to be a pretty big difficult thing for them, as they also lose Xboth to got Jaeger. So now they know the bomb down, you're going to see the rotate, and then all of a sudden you're a 2v1 situation with less than 30 seconds. This is probably a best opportunity for Tiny to just pull it and save it.
And Tiny, as you say, going to do the exact opposite. Gets aggressive, up close and personal, trying to find that value, trying to make it all count for US Alabama. But DePaul, they're going to find themselves up 10-0 on the series right now.
It's such a difficult thing to see, because what we're finding here is that USA is got the pieces, right? They're either getting that early kill onto a Demigod as he continues that aggression, or in that last round we saw, they finally learned the lesson with Breezy, and while they missed him coming from construction and we're looking into the water as opposed to up on the catwalk, they did get him in the second attempt at it. So, they are getting these positions where these anchor players are creating significant problems for them in earlier rounds, but they're not able to quite string that all together into something that's that comprehensive approach. So, we've got 5 rounds left in this half. It's still a position where if you can walk away from this with a 10-5, like, that's pretty great. The way that their money looks, it's possible that they're going to buy up and go into this. It's a kind of a difficult choice, because if you lose this with a heavy investment, then you're basically giving up at least 1, if not 2 more rounds. So they're in a tough spot, but if they can get at least 3 or 4 rounds on there, it takes a little bit of that early pressure off. They get the pistol, they can come right back on the CT side. So we'll see what strategy they go with in these last couple of rounds, but we're certainly hoping to see a little bit of life out of them.
Yeah, certainly so. And this is going to be that timeout that we kind of expect around this point. You're down 10-0. You've definitely got to talk about what needs to be changed up here, because it's been not a positive mountain to be climbed on the side of Alabama. They're desperately trying to turn this one around. The beauty of CSGO is, honestly, if they lose this one, we've got at least one more in store, right? Or we do have that one more in store. So it's going to be maybe Overpass is simply not their map, and Inferno can be something that they can turn around.
And I think that's totally valid. One point, I guess the counterpoint to that is this is USA's Mac pick.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We did mention earlier that against Iona last week, USA did go into overtime in that position. It was Iona's choice, and they had a pretty good showing overall. Obviously, going into overtime means that that was a series where they were literally trading rounds back and forth the entire time, like 1-to-1. That not obviously the case here with DePaul. It's a little bit more of a mismatch, at least as it comes onto this map. So we'll see what they come out with. They did opt to go light buy, so they still have money going into the next round. We see a little bit of armor, no head armor, but deagles. We've already seen that obviously in the previous pistol rounds. Those deagles can make a pretty big difference.
Oh, absolutely. The deagles can make a much larger difference than I think a lot of people often give them credit for. We have seen some insane plays just come from somebody having an okay game with a deagle. So I definitely want to see if anything can come out here from Alabama. This is almost their time to shine, so to speak. If they're going to do something, now's the time to do it. So we're going to have to see what they can choose to bring to the table here. It all depends on that primary firefight. Which one of these teams is going to lose a player first? That's usually kind of the opener to spell disaster.
Agreed. But No frags on either side, although certainly the damage deficit, with the exception of Breezy, of course, being one of the names that we see on the kill feed. They have done some damage. They have some peeked out, but Squaw coming in from behind could be a devastating blow to USA.
A devastating blow indeed. Squaw picks up a kill on X-Pop already, looking for another onto Soju. Almost a 180 kill there as well. Breezy does go down, but the trade comes through straight away onto Jacrispy. 3v1. Tiny T, 9 HP, taken offline. DePaul putting away round 11.
We're seeing some of those whispers of opportunity. I talked a little bit about how last week Tiny T was one of those impact players across both of their series, and we're seeing that a little bit here as well. But you're just not quite clicking, and that's it happens, especially in your first game of a series. You got to get out some of them Sunday scary kind of things, but it's a little bit difficult. We know once you get 11 rounds into it and you're trying to claw your way back from a deficit, that makes this a very difficult map to make something substantive out of.
Absolutely.
However, anything can happen on the CT side, especially if they find that magic formula.
And the magic formula definitely going to be something to be keeping an eye out for. It can show up in the blink of an eye. We can see the series get turned completely on its head. But DePaul, it's been insane because US Alabama, I wouldn't say they've done everything wrong. I'd say DePaul has done everything right up to this point. Now, losing Squaw early, I mean, Squaw's really been making a name, especially in the earlier half of the game. We saw Squaw all over the place. That player goes down. A lot of damage dealt back in return, though. Lepicio, 19 HP, 18 HP.
It is nice to at least have the body advantage here, because that means that you can overwhelm people, hopefully, although we have seen lots and lots of multi-kills come on this map. And a Demigod seems to have learned his lesson and is playing back a little bit more across the board. So he might still run into them on bathrooms because he's still playing in that position, hoping to get a flank. But if Jacrispy can suss that out, he seems to kind of have an inhibition to... No, it looks the wrong way! Oh my god!
This game all comes down to those seconds, those incidents. They walked right past each other. Now a Demigod caught out. Soju gonna be able to find that kill. Alabama, all of a sudden, a huge mistake from DePaul. The numbers advantage is, it is just Alabama all day long right now.
It is, absolutely. And I would expect that Naf and Breezy are going to be playing this more from well, I guess they're just going to go for it because they didn't smoke off Bank.
Wise man once said, it really do be like that sometimes. And Alabama, they're getting ready to put their first round on the board here. If anybody's going to clutch, though, it's going to be Captain God Jaeger. However, taking a lot of damage in the process. Finds a kill, but can't find any more. Alabama finally putting one on the board.
That's exactly what they need at this point, and hopefully that continues for their sake in that momentum. But the fact that I was still a little worried in that, I think, kind of speaks to just the game that USA has had, because you come into that position and when you don't know what that last player is, just the way that DePaul seems to have been able to kind of push different success from different players, it was something where you're like, oh man, if they pick the right people off and they give them that right one-on-one, they can still go the other direction.
Yeah, no doubt.
I am, however, enthused to see at least 11-1 scoreline, and we'll see if they're able to kind of capitalize on that. The downside is that they've given so many almost free rounds to DePaul that their economy is
untouchable.
Great.
Yeah, the economy right now is just... I'm confident to even say the economy is unparalleled in the sense that we are seeing it currently. It is going to be very strong. Almost everybody on the side of DePaul hitting double digits. The highest elims on the side of Alabama, only 8. The lowest being 1 elimination. So that really goes to show how aggressive DePaul has been. Now somehow Tiny T turns that fight around, giving Alabama the player advantage, but still somehow a lot of damage to be dealt there. 87 and 74 to Jacrispy and Tiny T respectively. BCO goes down. Jaeger, here he comes. The titan of the matchup here. DePaul able to find some great value because of him. Let's see what he can turn around here. Might be able to, gets absolutely demolished by Tiny T there.
And I really want to see USA running back towards the A site, because at this point they've given up so much space and so much time. It's really difficult to take this with 20 seconds left.
Patience.
That's a tough round.
There it is. That's a tough one to DePaul. Just such patience, such prowess there, able to put themselves really in a comfortable spot to take the round win. We're coming into round 14. DePaul finding themselves up 12-1.
It was unfortunate to have Soju have his moment, and then just not able to connect. He was
Yeah.
flashed, like that happens, but he had his crosshair on it. He kind of had that split aim problem, and he ultimately didn't have it. But Tiny coming out as their top fragger at this point does get that double kill, and they run into it. But got Jaeger just getting able into that position, able to flank around them and just destroy the momentum that they had in it. They were in a really great position because DePaul had, like we see right now, Squaw's pushed up on his own and long, and if they suss this out, they see the pixel. Oh,
They saw the
holding
pixel,
my breath,
I think.
you know?
A great turnaround there for Alabama. They've got the numbers advantage, but that's really not what's been helping them win these. It's just been that regular player prowess, that comfortability with the game. They've been able to turn around a couple of rough fights. However, they usually end up on the bottom of them. This is going to be a great opportunity to engage. I mean, if they really just hold W here, as long as they play it smart, I think they've got a great chance to turn this one around. But as I say, Crispy falls to Breezy, who has just been lighting up the kill feed. Most eliminations in lobby, 17. Finding another one, turning 17 to 18. I mean, what is it, just a 1v3 at this point? And yeah, they get to hold W and storm into that final player. Tiny T goes down. DePaul going up 13-1. We are still in the first half of the game.
And it has been all DePaul so far, especially Breezy. It's been, while Breezy is the leader in terms of kills, but only by a small margin. I think that it's safe to say that as you've kind of seen these rounds play out, he's been the person that's sitting into that one spot that's just able to kind of set that level of disruption onto the USA strategy that it's very difficult for them to come back to where they want to go. And Squaw moving around with the op all over the place is just making it really difficult for USA to find a place where they feel comfortable going to. Although a demigod that we haven't seen on the op before, missing that shot could be an opportunity that they need, especially because they've obviously had a lot of success in making that early peak something that they can punish.
Yeah, and like you said, I don't think Squaw's ever stood in the same spot twice with this op since the beginning of the game, and that's made it so difficult for Alabama to really know who's coming at them from where, and they've lost somebody early every time. This time it's Tiny T, the top fragger of the team, by a notable margin at that, so Alabama losing that powerhouse in the form of Tiny T is going to be really tough to turn this one around.
Exactly, and you kind of wonder what the strategy that they're thinking about it might be. Is they're obviously comfortable with these with both of these players, both squad to a degree, and Demigod playing up and just trying for the information game. And that was a rough first half for USA. There's no way to turn that, but they're trying.
Absolutely, they're trying, and as I always say, this sounds so pandering to the losing team, but in reality, I love when people try, and that sounds so crazy, but so often do we see teams just kind of throw in the towel early, and I love to see teams fight tooth and nail until the bitter end. I always think that is a very positive showing of both the team and what that program has to offer in terms of a positive mental attitude, because I think that is what separates a lot of teams from the goods from the grades.
We have talked about how this game is so much mental.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ability to just stay out of your own head, keep your eyes looking forward and try to do whatever you can to reset is super important, and that's what we hope to see in the pistol round of the USA.
Yeah, if there's gonna be a turnaround moment, this is it. Lapicio falling early there, taken offline, and we got the Akimbo guns making an appearance from DePaul, getting a little bit confident. Xbox goes down to Crispy, not far behind, and the bullets are raining in. Tiny T finds a kill, but gets traded out straight away. DePaul, all of a sudden, 1 point short of walking away with overpass.
We do seem to have a little bit of a dually meta in the EGF, just seeing everybody roll through every once in a while, especially in those rounds where everybody's up. They can be a little beamy, but as we saw there, they can also be incredibly effective because that's a lot of bullets downrange. So unfortunately, USA did not get the start to this. They're trying. They're seeing this aggression towards B to try to catch somebody out. Unfortunately, the ball is going the other direction, so they're in a position where they either have to rotate all the way through and hope. Which it seems like they're having a little bit of a decision about where that's go, or Lapicio hasn't shared that information that it seems like DePaul is moving towards that A site.
Yeah, so a bit of a split push here. Lapicio taking a lot of damage, down to almost half HP. Gonna really struggle. Oh, getting completely closed in on, and yeah, gonna have to fall short here early on in the round. DePaul, they found themselves up 5-4. This should be the final round of the game, statistically speaking. I'm waiting to see what DePaul does with it. They pick up to Crispy. Xbox finds the kill, but a demigod coming to life there, able to find a double kill of their own. Tiny T falls, and DePaul walks away with overpass 16-1.
That was rough. There's no other way to describe it, but we again, I mean, if you're the USA side of it, you know, they're coming in, they have a new coach recently. They, you know, they went their best foot forward, at least as they were attempting for this particular matchup, knowing DePaul is a pretty tough team, knowing that they have a high win percentage. So I think that what we saw there was a bit of a mismatch. Obviously, you can tell that based on the score line. But as we talked about in a couple different rounds, they did have some of those pieces. We did see Tiny kind of continuing to be that lead position in terms of impact. So we're going to go into Inferno, which is a little bit more of a traditionally known map. It's something that's a little bit more predictable in terms of strategies one way or the other. So if they can turn that around, they can still walk away with another map win in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is just, sorry, you can see me rapidly Googling things. I was trying to figure out how to get the percentages out of that, but no, I don't know. I'm not very good at math. But either way, just a dominant showing from DePaul there against the University of South Alabama. Like you said, we've got Inferno left, a map that we still haven't seen tonight. So maybe that's an opportunity for you, South Alabama, to turn it around. Are we going to a quick break beforehand? Yeah, okay, so we are going to be throwing it to a super short break. I'm still learning the format of this whole CSGO thing, so y'all are going to have to bear with me on that one. But we'll be right back here in just a couple of minutes with Inferno. Don't go far.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
At the University of South Alabama, we inspire. We illuminate. We generate ideas that propel our region forward. We transform our students into leaders who have the confidence, knowledge, and ability to change their communities for the better. Together, we make a lasting impact on the world around us. We are your University of South Alabama.
Howdy doody, everybody. Welcome back. It looks like we just missed the end of round one there, but DePaul going to be able to find
Knife
themselves
round.
up in the knife round, so they get that all lined up. Yeah, sorry, not round one, the knife round, but they are able to win it, and that's going to be, I always say, that's kind of the momentum kicker, right? Is that's where a team really starts to find their footing early in the game.
Yes, and luckily USA has the opportunity to set up on the CT side, which I think is going to be super important for them to, make an attempt to come back from where we saw last round, which is a pretty big mountain to climb. So I'm excited to see how they put it out. And Tiny T going down early is not a good sign for USA.
Yeah, Tiny T falling that early is going to be disastrous. Now, you find Squaw in the trade, right? So arguably the top fragger on the side of DePaul. You're able to get something figured out, but Soju falling as well. DePaul going for a bomb plant already. Hey, I didn't call the spike that time. Breezy is going to fall to Crispy, though. This is a good opportunity for Alabama, I think. We see already they've got the 3v2, and they've got a serious health advantage. Just got to hit a couple of shots here.
Yeah, and they're coming in from the proper angles. They're looking for those crossfades. They probably have narrowed down where they are, so they just got to hit those shots now. And oh my god, that was Naf coming away with, I don't know if he was aiming at that, and it was just a fire over to the other side or whatever, but that first headshot just turns it so quickly. It was incredible.
Naf accidentally hitting the sickest fadeaway of all time and not even aware that they've done it. Now, DePaul, now they've officially found themselves up 1-0, and I'm really curious to see if Alabama can bring this back as close as they did there in that first round. We're going to see, we're kind of still on that basic util round. Everybody's rocking and rolling with these pistols. Alabama, they really want to put some points on the board. This would be the time to do it, but holy cow, they are just mowed down.
It was a reasonable strategy. I mean, certainly you think about that, second round, you didn't end up in a position where you really had a lot of economic value gained from it, although they obviously did get quite a few frags there. You go for the nade down mid. If they had timed it just a little bit differently, that could have gone entirely the other direction, but DePaul ready to clean that up pretty quickly. They get a relatively, quick round out of it, probably the quickest that they're going to see, and they are able to keep these later guns before they have to worry about a buyout from the USA side. Although I say that, and they've obviously come out with the FAMAS and some of the SMGs and 1M4, so they're coming into this fight.
Now, they're coming in the fight as well. Tiny T picks up a kill early. Soju finds another. Soju finds two of their own. 2 eliminations here in favor of Alabama. Now, Squaw, the scariest person, I think, to be left alive right now. Still at 100 HP, has that SMG, ready to really put their money where their mouth is, but winning a 1v4 is going to be an incredibly tough thing to do.
Yes, but the bomb is down on the B site, so if you're Squaw, you're looking more for the opportunity to, I guess, look for somebody that's just in a bad position. He knows probably that Jacrispy is pretty low, just sort of based on the fights that happened earlier. So if Soju isn't able to bring that out, then maybe almost
is not able to pick that one up. Alabama, I mean, this is already statistically better than they did last time, right? If they win one more round, they've doubled the amount of rounds they win compared to the first map. So really a great start. They might be able to turn this one around pretty effectively, pretty early on. And this is we see this in Valorant very often, where the team will pick a map and then they will lose that map, but they'll win the other one. So maybe Alabama is trying to do that for us right here. Absolutely, and it looks like rumor has it my webcam may have just frozen. Not that any of you can see me, but oh, just kidding. Oh no, I'm not even the frozen one. Oh, get pranked, everybody. It's not even. Anywho, we're jumping right back into things here. It's gonna be a lot of eliminations here. Some great value early to Crispy, trying to tie up his numbers, keeping things at that 2-2. The PCO and Expo though gonna be able to pick up some great kills. Alabama might tie things up here. Yeah, okay, I'm taking that as my official confirmation that he is gone, so I'm going to keep talking. Y'all are stuck with me now. God Jaeger, 59 HP, almost has the HP advantage over both these players, right? 46 and 46 respectively. However, the fire rate, 2 versus 1, obviously a better fire rate for the 2 people rather than the 1. God Jaeger sees only a couple of seconds left on the clock, about half a minute available. We're going to have to see what is brought to the table here. I mean, you've got a gun, you've got a dream, you've just got to hit a couple of shots here coming through. Oh, turns the corner, yeah. Tiny T gets taken off. Let's see what comes through here in this next round. DePaul, I mean, I don't want to say they're looking bad, right? They're looking great still, per the usual, but they're not looking as clean as we expected. Hey, I mean, this is a plus for both teams, right? Nobody's immediately been eliminated. That's pretty huge for the longest we've gone without an early elimination. So still that 5v5. First firefight about to happen here, though. A PCO is going to pay the price of their life there. Squaw finding some rusty eliminations, unfortunately. It's looking good, though, for DePaul. They're finally having that numbers advantage again for the first time in, you know, like 3 rounds, give or take. I'd love to see what comes from the back of this. Squaw finds another one. Squaw picks up a 3rd kill onto Crispy. Oh my goodness, coming through. Explode finds that kill. Squaw finds another one though with the help of Breezy from the Afterlife.
What a round for the DePaul side, just making sure that they punished, right? I'm glad that I came into the last part of it. I saw, you know, Tiny running for his life there and trying really, really hard to, you know, deal with the fact that there's a 4v1, you know, wall of death coming at him, which is pretty tough.
Absolutely. Winning a 4v1 in a game like CSGO, I mean, maybe you get the frag of your life, but there's no ultimates to save you. You know, there's no abilities to make you bulletproof for a couple of seconds. You've just got to take it.
Yes, unfortunately, there's no heals in this one, so you lose that health. It's gone forever. But positive side, USA starting off much stronger than we saw at Overpass, which again was their map choice. So, you know, they're able to kind of, maybe it was a fake out. It's hard to say. But, you know, already increasing their win percentage by 100% here. So that's a great position to be. And if Squad doesn't check this corner, we could easily kill. Ooh.
Oh, it's not often you see the person who quarter peaks be the one to lose the fight there. But unfortunately, yeah, that's exactly how that went. Squad down to 22 HP. So making it out by the skin of their absolute teeth there.
That AK spray just sometimes, you know, works in the best favor of the person that's throwing in. Oh, poor Tiny without the armor just has to eat that nade, which means coming onto this bomb site, as DePaul seems accurate, wanting to do, unless Soju shuts him down.
Soju looking good, honestly. So far on this map, this has just been a very positive, impressive rate for Soju. Currently 5-5, so, you know, broken even on the KD. Now Jaeger able to find that kill. Ball, they get to plant the bomb as well. They've got the numbers advantage by nearly double with 2 of their players. Critical condition.
Oh, and that lucky shot through the smoke, just, you know, that spam. These are such common positions to deal with that, you know, there's just not a lot that they can do. The DCO is probably not getting out of this alive. Yep, there it is. But Crispy's over there with them for A1S, you know, sitting on head armor and 2 flashes. So while he's not going to have a ton of cash going into the next round, he will be able to, you know, have a pretty big impact. And I think if we look down the situation that we see here, XPath only was $700. If we see much of a buy going into this next round, which I would expect that they probably will, my God.
Crispy getting really wild, honestly. That was a bold move, peeking the corner, going for 3 eliminations, not finding any of them, but not being eliminated in the same breath, to be fair. It's been a great map up to this point, and it's going to be 4-2 for DePaul. I'm afraid we're getting to that point where DePaul really might start running away with this one.
Yeah, I think if USA is careful about managing their money, which we do see, if like they keep it all around that 300K or that 3K, which means that they'll come into next round with a pretty good buy. They got light buys here. They've got armor on the Deagles. I think like we've seen them do pretty well, and that is a great way to start that off. You get that 8K and become all of a sudden a very dangerous threat, especially on that A site.
Oh, Soju getting traded out, so finding Jaeger. Tiny T though, Demigod really gonna flip it back. I picked up here. Wow, a single bullet to the dome for Expo there. They don't even get to know they're being shot at before they are taken down. And Squaw right now, I mean, tied for top frag in lobby. Just a very strong player on Inferno up to this point. The PCO though, as I say, it does find Squaw in the firefight. Gets to grab the weapon as well. Let's see what Lepicio is able to do here. 1v2.
And it's interesting because you see DePaul being pretty aggressive on this, and they're kind of hunting, like they're setting up for that position where, you know, like if Lepicio decides to go for it, which it looks like he's just going to go back to kitchen to save, which is probably the right choice, all things considered. He would have been probably a little confused to come to a site with nobody there. And with some utility, I think they could have gone the other way. It would have been fun to play that out in terms of the scenarios we could have seen. Obviously, that is not the case, and so DePaul will walk away with a 5th round, and USA is still struggling to find an answer.
Yeah, things really starting strong there. It seems like when the utility was a little more even, that's when USA was able to turn it around. But as we get into the latter half of the matchup, we see a lot of the progress coming through. Just consistently some more weapons being brought to the table really on the side of DePaul. USA can't really seem to keep up.
It's true, but they have an op for the first time, so I think that that's going to be a big factor here. And I think what we had a little bit of an issue with on the side of USA, I think, was just a little bit of over-aggression. So, you know, classic CSGO issues, just, you know, being aggressive and pushing some of those smokes on the B site and just kind of getting caught out. And I think in that last round particularly, oh, this is interesting.
Oh, boy. Tiny T really trying to be the hero there. I don't think he's hitting as well as he thinks he is. Yeah. Taken offline pretty aggressively by Got Jaeger. Great follow-up as well. Here comes Crispy. Just meets a bullet face to face. Oh, they're looking for another flawless round, which we have not seen since the beginning of Overpass.
And LPCO on that op is going to be fighting for his life to keep that because it's such a huge investment. And if, you know, they lose this, then we're going back exactly to where we were a couple rounds ago with just no cash and nothing to really do about it.
Those are the scariest situations to be in, truly. PCO does find a kill, but you have to find probably 4 more to really make that round worth it. Now DePaul finding themselves up 6-2 on the series.
If I'm USA at this point, I think I'm probably trying to coach everybody to be much more conservative in their play. I think especially on that B site, we've seen them be more successful when they're playing around that new box area or playing in dark, other than, you know, when Tiny has to eat nade with no armor. Right. That was a little bit rough, but they're getting punished when they're getting into these off angles when they're trying to be aggressive and they just keep running into, you know, a lot of very prepared DePaul players.
Yeah, and DePaul, I think that's the scariest thing, is this team's not making mistakes, and Squad checks the wrong corner and still wins the firefight. That is just, I mean, chef's kiss. DePaul here. I want to see DePaul versus Marquette. Let me tell you what, because both these teams, they are making so few mistakes. They're looking so clean at everything they do that would be an insane matchup.
Very much so. But we're here now. We're dealing with some opportunities, and we're cheering for USA to make a run of it. And again, you know, they're taking those times to find something. And I'm hoping that, you know, like we kind of had the same situation in Overpass, right? Where by the time we got to the 10th round, where we're at right now, we had identified a couple moments where USA was really had some great moments. And
yeah,
I think in some cases that has happened. However, I think they have been less frequent on the side of USA just because we continue to kind of see them getting caught out, whether it's being really aggressive in banana or being, you know, too aggressive in mid. And now they're in a position where they're playing more conservatively. So I like to see this, you know, 2v3 on the B site go in a positive direction for USA. Yeah,
no doubt. And we see Lepicio falling early. A little bit of damage on the side of DePaul, but they are practically, I mean, untouchable right now with Demigod. Finds Soju with some great patience. Looks away at the worst time. Tiny T does not find that kill, but Crispy picks up one of their own. It feels, I said this earlier as well, it feels like Alabama, they're playing like almost a second behind, right? Everything they do feels just a second or two late, and that's really starting to make all the difference.
EGFC will, as the classic saying goes, bring a knife to a gunfight as that unfortunate flash comes out of that aggression. And DePaul is just continuing to show their level of dominance as we got into these later rounds. So I can't say it any better than you just did, Seth. I mean, you're having these positions where they're just really struggling to win some of these gunfights in places where, you know, you miss an off shot, suddenly the fight goes the wrong way, you miss something else, it's a whole different ball game. So I'd like to see that you have a little bit more utility to counter on the B side, but because of the way that DePaul is going through these skins, it may not matter.
Dang. Crispy coming back with a vengeance there, able to find 2 eliminations very quickly. Soju going to be able to find Guy Yeager as well. Alabama might be able to put another one on the board. A risky Molotov there, not able to find much. I think doesn't spread as much as I'd like it to, not fast enough. I think it should be instantaneous.
Yeah, just all over the place. Everything's on fire. Do what I want. Cook the barbecue, whatever.
2v5 here in round 11. It's certainly not impossible to turn around, but by golly, is it going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think that if you're USA and you're looking at a 5v2 and you start to give them the opportunities and you ultimately lose this round, this is a very difficult place to be. They should win this. They should get that 3rd round. They could be on track to go 8-7, which is kind of the dream at this point.
Right.
It's a little aspirational, kind of given, you know, how things have been going, but surprisingly, DePaul is still going to give it a shot.
Oh, no. Yep. Nav. Oh, wow. Actually found the kill out of Soju there before being taken offline. Now DePaul, Demigod coming through. Able to find 1. You got to find 3 more. With just a couple of bullets sent in the Molotov. I love that idea. Might be able to catch Tiny T a little bit, but certainly not going to kill. Yeah, you were just stuck between a rock and
manages to get
13 bullets.
This is that's DePaul even in death continuing to show, hey, we've got your number and we're gonna fight down to the very last breath that we have. And you know, they can do that because they have such an economic advantage. You've got Breezy, they can buy 3 people on his team without, you know, going broke. Still have a little bit of cash left over for flashes. So, you know, I'm very glad to see that USA was able to pull that round out, you know, and avoid defeat in that particular instance. But it was not a clean round to suggest that that's going to be the continued rounds.
Not a clean round by any means. They definitely do that. We see Breezy finds Sir Crispy. Like both not far behind. So DePaul, they lose a round that they certainly did not want to, and now they are pulling no punches. They're just going to storm in, try to find eliminations as quickly as possible, and hope that can make all the difference.
The aggression from USA to get some of these exits is a little bit more than I probably would merit wanting to give, although they are getting some of these frags. So I wouldn't go for it, even if they're tempted to, because that would be a difficult retake at best.
Right.
But at least they are making this a little bit more expensive, although they're still not taking money off of Breezy, which is their daddy Warbanks.
Yeah. Absolutely, the Scrooge McDuck of DePaul right now. Going to be some great value coming in early. Finds the PCO. Tiny T, though, puts Breezy down in the final seconds of the round. Unfortunately, it's not enough to win you the round, but it does reset your economy just a little bit.
Yes, although we're still seeing that the total team money on the other side is almost 40K compared to 10, so it's a tough place
close.
to be. Yeah,
it's not close.
You know, there's hope, there's a belief that something is going to happen.
Yeah, you know, 8, 9, 10, 39, 40. You know, it's right there. I mean, they're right next to one another. And now, looks like Guy Yeager is going to be next to a couple of his teammates here in the grave in just a moment. We're going to see great aggression from Tiny T, finding another one. Onto Naf. Breezy also goes down. Alabama there putting up a fight once again. Squaw finds that kill onto Soju. Gonna have to find 4 more, but at least you've got a teammate to help you out this time.
That was the Alabama that I would have wanted to see in previous rounds. I feel like they were much more confident in their execution. They were hitting the shots as they've had some difficulties, and we've talked about that. And they were there to back one another up. And I think Tiny especially able to kind of come through for his team there, kind of recover from the fact that he was being chunked down in that early part of the round by I think it was the Mac 10, and just being able to get those 2 impact kills, make sure that they were moving into the next round. And so as you were able to take one person, I did not like that he jumped through that smoke when he didn't need to, but 4v2, we'll take it, right?
Yeah, it was bold. It was certainly bold. And had it worked out, I probably would have said something like, "Whoa, that was crazy! I can't believe that it worked." But alas, it didn't. Now,
Put your head down, buddy.
Yeah, Demigod really taking advantage of the fact that people are keeping their heads up, but Alabama still able to win the round thanks to Lepicio and Expo taking out that final player. Honestly, 9-4. I mean, this is already 3 rounds better than anything we saw from Alabama on Overpass. I mean, they could walk into the second half not in a horrible shape.
Yeah, this is where you get to have the conversation about like, all right, if we're getting to a 10-5 or a 9-6, which would be the ideal scenario at this point, those are very winnable. And there are certainly positions on the T side in this map where if you can basically do what DePaul is doing to them right now, push out some of those people in bad spots, although that is almost a hero play from Xbox.
Almost close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, unfortunately. So nothing coming out quite yet in favor of that. Breezy down to 19 HP, so we're looking at basically a 3v3. Jaeger gets the bomb down, so that's going to be another successful round here for DePaul. They guarantee themselves that extra credits whether they win or lose the round. All about that patience game, that slow game now. Anybody overextends, it can spell disaster. We see another elimination there onto Squaw. The PCO going to go for a corner peek. Gonna send out a flash first. Very intelligent play. Does not follow up off the back of it. Can't quite find that kill. However, Breezy will go down. That 19 HP not going to be enough. The bomb's taking away. At this point, DePaul's just looking to buy time. Guy Jaeger goes down, and a Demigod not far behind. I think they've got enough time to defuse this. I'm honestly not sure. Now, they've got this.
So close.
They've got... Oh, my goodness.
Ooh. Wow. Wow, that's the best word I can come up with. That was an entirely different USA team that we've seen over the last 13 or 14 rounds. Wow, that was an excellent job by all players on that account to make sure that they were pulling every little bit of value they could out of that matchup.
Yeah, there's this phrase I love to use that I'm sure you've heard me say before, the esports factor. I'll always call it whatever game it is. It's where these players wait until the very last minute, wait till like the bitter end to remember what they're doing, right? And then they can really turn it around. They kick it into 5th gear, and they're really able to take a convincing lead off the back of it. And I'm really curious to see if Alabama can keep carrying this forward. If they can go into the second half, I mean, 6 and 9, that's really not that far apart. 3 rounds is so easy to turn around, and now they're desperately trying to do just that.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's kind of a tale of 2 bomb sites at this point, where Lepicio doing his best to try to hold down whatever he can on the A site, but not going as well in terms of the hold as the B site, which, they were a little aggressive, which we said, is something they'd been punished for a lot in earlier rounds. But coming into this position, they've got a 3-2 advantage. They're able to play retake, and that misplay by Breezy there with that Molly is going to give them even more of an advantage coming into this potential overtake and hopefully defuse.
Yeah, certainly so. The bombs have been planted. We're already almost down to that halfway mark, so it's going to be really dangerous to find that appropriate engage without overextending the team by any means. Squaw finding Soju as well. Oh, Breezy. Again, we're just looking at that constant timing is everything here. We're going to see Breezy pick up 1 kill. Tiny T still picks up that kill onto Squaw. Full-blown 1v1, but Breezy is the one to put it away. DePaul, they're just barely going to hit double digits heading into the second half.
Coming down to the last second is exactly what you want to see in these close rounds, and it's, I think, exactly what we kind of hoped we would see from USA coming into this map. I mean, obviously, we would love for them to be in a position of more strength, but they are also in a position where by the time they're getting into some of these later rounds, they've seemed to have calmed down a little bit. They're winning rounds, period, which is the most important thing. And now we're going to see what they can do on the T side, as it seems that they're going for some of that early A aggression into round 1.
Yeah, that aggression could be all the difference. Breezy already finding a kill with Tiny T picking up the trade onto Naf there. Breezy down to 62 HP, some slow creep coming out from Crispy, checking every corner available. Paul, I mean, they've got to be a little bit worried, right? Maybe a little less so as Crispy falls to a single bullet, but I mean, just some great value coming out already from Alabama this round. I mean, so much scarier, or excuse me, this map so much scarier than the first one.
We're still seeing some of those kind of odd reaction times from the side of USA, which I think made some of those fights a little bit harder to win. And
yeah,
the DePaul USPs are just scary, right? You come out, you see those kill feeds with the 1-click headshots, and creating just a very difficult scenario for anybody let alone where USA has been for the last couple of rounds.
Oh, wait, now. Oh, rude. Rude from DeCrispy there.
Yeah, those chicken lives matter.
Absolutely. I always get a little sad when somebody kills the chickens. I'm like, ah, man, that's just no fair. But, you know, I guess the chickens can't really help you out. So you might, I don't know. I don't play this game that much. This is up to them. But either way, jumping in, 90 seconds left on the clock. 5v5. Coming through, we might have our first engagement here. Lepicio and the Demigod just around the corner from one another, but they're both choosing to slow back into a camp position rather than go forward for that engagement. So we might actually end up seeing somebody else fire that weapon first. Wow, a Demigod just patient and everything, finding basically a 4K there. They're giving DePaul that extra round. Now 12 over 5. DePaul, they've woken up. They've chosen violence.
Exactly. The challenge that we now have to look at is USA has to be so careful to not fall into that quicksand, that trap of allowing DePaul to dictate mid and banana to such a degree that they're stuck at 2. They just can't do that. And we saw a little bit of that round where they, you know, played really far up in banana and then just played such a strong rotate out of the A site. That it's entirely within the cards that can happen, but they need to make sure that they're fighting back and making sure that DePaul respects that the choices that they make are going to have significant consequences.
Yeah, without a doubt. Squaw and X both going to be able to find some trades there. 4v3.5. Xbox dropping down to 48 HP, so really in a bit of a danger zone. Oh, there it is. Squaw falls to Lepicio there, so going to be a lot of great damage coming through. 3v4, basically. X both now around that 50 HP as well. A lot of great back and forth value here in Alabama. I mean, they're keeping this one close. A lot closer than Overpass.
Very much so. That was not the way I expected that flash to go, but, you know, those MP9s are really doing work for the side of the ball.
Yeah, they very much are. The MP9 saving the day when it matters most. Guy Giger will fall. Now a 3v2, but 48 HP, 30 HP. DeCrispy gets the bomb plant. Now you've got to defend it with your absolute life. You've got to be able to turn this one around. See if they're able to do that quite yet.
They don't seem to be paying any attention to Breezy in the church position, which means that they're really struggling with some of the opportunities to take advantage of the numbers. Oh boy. 1 HP in a dream.
1 HP in a dream, and unfortunately that dream usually turns into a bit of a nightmare, and we saw that just happening there. Bomb gets defused by DePaul, and that is just enough to take it offline. 13-5.
You hate to see it. You really do. It's just one of those things where you can see just that little spark of hope and love and joy coming out of the USA side. They get onto the site, they put that bomb down. It's like Christmas morning, they're ready to go. And then DePaul just says, no, we're coming for it. We don't care. We're taking all of the HP, and it's ours now. And season again from NAF. Oh boy, we're starting that kind of game.
I mean, Christmas morning, but Santa came in and destroyed all your furniture instead of leaving you presents, right? That's kind of how that turned out at the end there. It's going to be so much damage on Alabama already. Blink and you miss it. Just consistent aggression coming out from DePaul up to this point. 13-5. They know they're in the lead. They know they've got the better economy, and now they just have to find Alabama out a couple more times.
If they're able to take this site, they have a pretty good chance, because if they run into that auto sniper on B that recently came out, that's going to be a very difficult position to be in. But we now see that Jaeger's moving over to the other side, so they're going to have to contend with that pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're going to have to come up against this relatively quickly. Squaw finds Soju a great opportunity here for that. A lot of damage coming out. Jaeger cannot find that opportunity to go down. Tiny T is able to find that elimination, but DePaul, they still come out on top.
And unfortunately, no, just kidding. Breezy opted to go for the AK over the auto. So at least they've taken that off the field. It means that there's one less sniper rifle that they have to deal with. And that actually puts the CT side that DePaul has no scoped guns. So that means that, you know, it's not a huge necessarily one way or the other. And we see NAF coming down to show this early aggression. This is exactly what I was talking about.
Early aggression sometimes makes all the difference. The PCO does find that trade kill. We're now in that 4v4 scenario. A lot of aggression coming back and forth, but DePaul continuously finding themselves up on top. That may come down to pure mechanical skill. I mean, we might see some aggression from Alabama if they're able to play a little bit slower, find some value up to that point, but I don't know, it's going to be really tough. As it just seems like DePaul is consistently kind of ahead of the game. I feel like I've said that so many times, but it seems to be there's always 1 second, 2 seconds of difference between Alabama and DePaul coming out on top every single time.
But there's still rounds left. There's still opportunity. In a 3v2, anything is possible. Hopes and dreams. If we just put our hands together and clap.
If we believe real hard, maybe something can get turned around here. But it's definitely been DePaul.
Leaving the site that gives it. Oh man, that's such an opening. This is kind of interesting because they've split the sites, and so now this aggression through Speedway, as long as they don't get caught out here from the church side, which they may not expect him because they should expect him to be on site, but Jaeger doesn't seem to know.
Yeah, Breezy's getting bold with it, honestly. We might be able to see some action coming out from this. Jaeger finds that kill, gets taken out in return. The bomb has been planted once again. Breezy, is now or never, right? I mean, you might be able to find this, but we have not seen anybody win a 2v1 yet today. Maybe Breezy is the first to do that.
It's possible if he sees these. If the USA team stays home, they play Ring Around the Rosie. Luckily, Breezy's out of the clearing utilities, so he's just got to try for the best. And Xbox taking everybody back from the brink of disaster. So that is exactly where they want to be. That's the exact type of thing that they have to continue doing. I would like to see them, with more people surviving, especially because looking at their economy, you're still seeing them hover around like the 1,000 or Tiny T all the way down to $350. So
yeah,
they're really playing on the edge of it, both in terms of the rounds until the game is over, as well as the amount of buys that they have left. DePaul is going super aggressive. This could be very dangerous for the USA.
Oh man, dangerous indeed. Crispy gonna fall there. Lepicio picks up a counter kill, so it's not as successful as perhaps DePaul may have wanted. Xbolt is gonna be able to find a kill, or he's going to be able to get killed rather. A demigod will fall as well, and DePaul, they're getting ready to wrap up what could very well be our penultimate round.
This is a difficult position because now you have DePaul very clear controller of mid, but they don't have any visibility onto A sites. So if USA is careful and quiet and they move through apartments here, they can get into a better position, although they're not going to know this. And yeah, you're looking at the site. Oh no.
Oh boy. Jaeger is going to fall very aggressively there. Goes for that angry play, right? That up close personal play, but cannot find the value he's looking for off the back of it. Might be a great opportunity for Alabama to turn it around. Squaw gonna go for the hero play here. Might be able to do something, but with an off, you can't get that close. No way! Squaw finds one. Oh, will not put the second one away. Close, but again, close simply don't count here in CSGO. That's gonna be Alabama putting their 7th round on the board.
That was an excellent hold by USA. Something that, as your urgency in the voice suggested, it was almost gone the other direction, especially by that incredible no-scope from Squaw, trying to bring it together. If he had done that the opposite direction and pulled out the pistol for the person on 6 HP, that round would have gone the other direction. But past that round, we're moving into the next one. USA seem to have found some confidence and is moving much more aggressively into the B site, although they now seem to be at the top of Banana, rethinking their strategy, which is not usually a great thing if they're in a rush.
Yeah, I would also say the middle of the round, not normally a great time to change your strategy or discuss what you're going to be doing. It's kind of one of those moments you've just got to hold W, right? You've just got to find your way in there and engage. But this is weird. This is the longest it's been without like an immediate death on this map so far, I think. This has been such an aggressive game so far that to get to a point where nobody's doing much of anything is so odd.
It really is. And there we go. I have to kind of wonder if USA is just kind of expecting a trap somewhere. Right. They've obviously been very aggressive in a lot of positions, in a lot of different strategies. And going down AKs to USP is never a good sign.
Oh, Soju does find that kill, though. 3v4 lineup. Alabama, they've got the advantage once again. A Demigod hiding around the corner, I think was waiting for 1. I don't think they were waiting for 4. That was probably a bit of a surprise coming through. Now we see Lepicio does find the plant, so those are additional credits in the next round for Alabama once again.
You're just kind of missing some of these scope opportunities, but they're cleaning it up. They're starting to remove more and more of the danger to make sure that they can come out of this round without it being too expensive.
And that would be huge, right? I mean, often referred to as a round, excuse me, is when a team's able to win with a pretty realistic short buy, and it looks like they're going to be able to 4v1. I mean, a pistol in the hand right here, maybe finds 1 kill. Crispy falls. Breezy, you're definitely run out of time though, so Breezy might just go for that save now that they have a weapon on hand. There it is. No!
He tried. He really did. He came away from his greed playing with that instant karma, I guess. But I wish that we would see a little bit more discipline out of the USA side about getting comfort in deciding to switch to a knife or a nade in a position where they should definitely expect more people to be. But that's neither here nor there. They've got bigger challenges to face as they're now going in to the 23rd round, down 6.
Wow, 23 rounds. This is the furthest we've made it into a game today. That's actually exciting in its own right. I mean, we have not made it this far up to this point, so that is quite an enjoyable thing to realize here.
Very much so. I feel like whenever we're dealing with all these different teams, especially when we haven't seen that first round of play between everybody,
yeah,
great kill by Xboff is going to take a little bit of that flame damage.
Yeah, a little bit of damage caught out there. We're in that basic 4v4 across the board, and I think Alabama, I mean, they have really started to clutch this back. This is the esports factor at its finest. They waited until DePaul was only 2 rounds short of a victory to really start putting a couple away. They've found quite a few rounds here, and I've got to say we've seen a much slower tempo in the last couple of rounds as well, and I think that has really lended itself well to Alabama.
Continuing to give them a little bit of that confidence that you were talking about, and I think that they're finally kind of found that switch where we talked about in the earlier rounds.
Right.
They were just getting hammered, right? They were trying to take these gunfights that are absolutely winnable, but just, you know, whether it's RNG or the CSGO gods deciding that this is just not their time, I wasn't going in their direction at all. Yeah.
Absolutely not headed in their direction quite yet, but Tiny T able to find a great kill. Breezy, though, picks up one of their own. The PCO puts down Breezy again. The numbers advantage just barely in favor of Alabama. This is a great opportunity, excuse me, to turn things around. Alabama, I mean, if they keep playing like this, they could take us into double digits for both teams.
Some great moments from in-game leader Lepicio there, just making sure that he continues to have that impact, although missing that shot is definitely a danger when every round counts at this moment.
Every round is beyond crucial at this point, right? We are staring defeat in the face. If Alabama loses even this one more round, their economy may pay the price, and they may pay the price of the game, right, in that scenario. So we really want to see a positive impact, a positive turnaround, excuse me, getting all tongue-tied over here. A Demigod does find Tiny T, but the damage has been done.
Oh, no,
you ain't doing a darn thing with that bomb.
Oh, that could have been... Nope, it was as bad as it could have been.
You hate to see it.
The positive side is that Crispy, which is the only player that really had money troubles, is going to be able to get a buy from his teammates. And on the other side of the map, we see that the CTs have no money in the bank at all, except for a Demigod and Jaeger, which walked away from that round with a rifle. So maybe USA is going to be able to figure this out a little bit. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive and able to take advantage of the fact that they just have the firepower advantage.
Yeah, the more firepower could be seriously beneficial here.
Oh, that's not the level of fight that you want to deal with. Oh,
this is going to be tough, but Naf somehow makes it work with the pistol there. Great help from Demigod, who finds 2 kills. Soju is going to be able to find that trade onto Squaw as well. 3v3 and a half, basically 3v3 is Breezy and Naf are both critical condition here. Gonna turn the corner probably right into a firefight. Lepicio needs to find at least 1 kill to make this all worth it. Turns away at the worst time, but picks it up anyway. Breezy goes down, and Demigod finds Tiny T. We're tied up. Oh, no, we're not. What am I talking about? It's Alabama falling apart here. Soju gonna find 1 kill. You gotta find 2 more. Soju currently sitting at 19 and 18, so just barely positive thanks to the progress of this round alone. Has to find 2 more kills to keep their dream alive.
Soju has done some pretty incredible things at different times, so this could be his moment to really make that difference. Unfortunately, that is not the case.
The moment is sometimes just not not with us when we needed to be at the most. That very well could have been the penultimate round of the matchup here, folks. We now see DePaul up 15-9 on Inferno. They are ready to take this series away 2-0.
I have my fingers crossed for USA. I really do. I mean, I know that it's a pretty dire situation, but I would love to see it go deeper into rounds and kind of just, have some more time to hang out with you, Seth. Liz.
Oh, stop it. We've got a full game after this. Stop it, you.
Well, in all seriousness, though, every single round, as we've said in previous series, matters in the standings.
Oh, absolutely.
So Alabama right now kind of fighting for that mid is we're starting to see DePaul, Marquette, and Colorado really pull away with some of these early games that they're playing. And we'll also see Marist coming up, which is another 2-0 team right now. So if they are able to put a little bit more distance between, say, them and Siena, them and St. Peter's or Niagara, this is going to be a huge difference for them. But that does not seem to be how the round has started off.
Yeah, certainly not. And we got to talk about it as well. We get to a point in the season where it's literally just a mathematical difference of who has better rounds, right? So for Alabama to win as many as they have, they're still going to lose the series in the blink of an eye. We didn't even get to talk about the last round because DePaul kills all 5 of them in 6 seconds. But we still get to talk about the fact that Alabama took 9 rounds, and especially after getting 16-1 on Overpass, they've really brought the series back a little bit in terms of general statistics.
Very much so. And while 10 rounds is not the biggest victory, as you're thinking about, it takes 32 rounds to win the 2 maps, it is something. It's a substantive number to get in front of, again, as we talked about, some of that midfield is that still being kind of decided over the next couple of weeks. So I'm pretty excited to see what South Alabama continues to build. As we mentioned before, they've got a new coach that's coming in. They're rebuilding a lot of things with a very new team. And DePaul on the other side, we kind of came in with relatively high expectations of what to see. And as we've come through all that, it's been pretty exciting to see what they're able to put up and how their different players, as we've seen with Marquette, able to come from any different position, have an impact at any given round, at any different weapon, and do a really great job with it. So it was a really fun match to watch overall. Very exciting to see towards the last 26 or so rounds, and can't wait to see the next one we got coming up.
Absolutely. And like you said, we do have another one coming up. Unfortunately, in a desperate attempt to stay on time, we are going to have to skip the interview here in the DePaul versus South Alabama matchup. But we're going to be right back with our third and final matchup of the evening here at the EGFC. We'll see you folks right back here in just a couple of minutes.